Hi everybody, this isn't a typical car review. The car itself has been superseded by a later model, so it's not really worth reviewing. What I am going to be talking about today though is what it's been like living with a plug-in hybrid for 2 years and why I've decided to make the switch to full electric. So here we go. Now I've been driving this Kia Niro plug-in hybrid for just over 2 years. Actually, let's call it a PHEV, it's a bit less of a mouthful. And you know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I really like it. It's definitely the most comfortable car I've ever driven. And it's got the most gadgets and features of any car I've ever driven too, and I've been driving for about 30 years now. Don't get me wrong, I'm not some sort of car nut or petrol head or anything like that. I'm just an ordinary guy with a family who needs to drive to work sometimes. I mean, have a look at my rather eclectic car history. I can't be pinned down to one particular type of car or mark of car, and I certainly can't say I've had a good taste in cars over the years. So before the world changed earlier this year, my commute was about 12 miles each way for my main office a couple of times a week, or I'd walk a mile down the road to the other office. And very occasionally I'd have to do a 66-mile round trip to the other side of the county for a third place that I work at. But back in 2018 when I bought this car, there wasn't a huge amount of choice when it came to electric cars in the UK. For my needs, anything out there was either too small or too expensive. So a plug-in hybrid, a PHEV, seemed like the logical choice. I didn't do many miles, but when I did, I'd have the comfort of a combustion engine to get me there without worrying. Or so I thought. For me, range anxiety in a PHEV actually became a thing. I mean, I know that's really weird. That's supposed to be for EV drivers, isn't it? I could do over 500 miles without stopping to refuel, so why the anxiety? Well, this is the big thing for me. Once I'd got a sense of what it was like to drive on electric power, I just didn't want to use the combustion engine. My mindset was always focused on always using the battery, and I ended up getting really obsessive, and I mean really obsessive, to the point where I felt bad if I had to use petrol. And realistically, a PHEV does need to burn fossil fuels. There's no getting away from that. You can't just leave a full tank of fuel in there for 2 years. It'd go off eventually and ruin the engine. And plus, when you get to winter or whenever the windscreen gets misted up, you have to turn on the air conditioning. And guess what powers that when you need it warm? Or even slightly warm? Yep, petrol. So the game for me was to fill up as few times as possible. And I got pretty good at it, to be honest. My record between visits to the petrol station was actually 9 months, during which I'd done 3,401 miles on one tank of fuel. My next tank actually lasted 3,144 miles. Try that in what's laughingly called a self-charging hybrid. So including the free tank of fuel that I had when I picked up the car in July 2018, the fuel cost for 11,000 miles of driving has been just £220. That's around only, 1,800 miles using the combustion engine. The problem was that I didn't feel I even wanted to take the car out beyond the battery range. It was that sort of mindset. I was beginning to realise that I needed a proper electric car. And that was now perfectly viable, at least for distance. I wasn't entirely sure about the price. Now, the only times I've driven in these 2 years beyond the range of the PHEV's battery would have been well within the range of most what I would call proper electric cars in 2020. I did one trip from Kent to Wales, where I stopped to have a comfort break in Oxford services and some food, and that's where I would these days have charged a battery en route. Everything else I did was, Kent to Heathrow or Kent to Gatwick for airport runs with the family, or Greenwich just outside London if we did trips up there, or over to Blue Water Shopping Centre where they have some free pod point chargers, meaning I could just about make it there on electric and back once I'd charged up there if I didn't go too fast. And there's one of the other problems. Having to compromise on my driving style and hypermiling really takes the enjoyment out of driving. I'd test driven a 40 kilowatt hour Zoe briefly. I'd even driven a Peugeot Ion that we had as a pool car at work. And even that was more fun to drive because at no time did I have to worry about the petrol engine kicking in to give me a boost if I put my foot down. So I realised that things had to change, and fortunately the world of electric cars has moved on. I mean, have a look at the number of cars available on my car leasing scheme at work. There are 25 now, and that doesn't even list things coming soon like the ID3, the ID4, the Ford Mach-E, the Cupra or the Enyaq, and there are so many more due for release in the next few months, and many of them fit my price bracket and practicality requirements. I've had a few test drives and I've made my choice, and I've taken the plunge and actually ordered my first electric car. I did so back in March actually, and it's due to arrive on Thursday this week. I might make an unboxing video if that's something you can do with cars. So to sum up then, the PHEV has been what some people would call a stepping stone towards electric cars. For me, I'd suppose it's more of a gateway drug. It's really proved to me that for my use case at least, I don't need a PHEV. A full, proper electric car is perfectly suitable for my use case scenarios. So, thanks for watching. If you want to see what the new car is when it arrives on Thursday, then please subscribe and set an alert for the new videos. I promise you it's a good one. Hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching.